Hi everybody, it's Kara. I wanted to do a quick video and do a review of some Pilot Frixion pens for you guys. As you know, if you've been watching my videos, I am a self-confessed penaholic. I love pens. I have a ton of them. I also love all of the containers you can get for pens and pencils. It's another minor addiction that I have, and getting those things as well. But I have really not gotten around to do a lot of reviews about some of the pens I get, and since these are my current favorites, I thought I would kind of go over Frixion pens in general and give you a little bit of information about them in case you are looking to buy them for yourself. Now, I use these Frixion pens primarily in my planner and at work to take notes at meetings. I like the fact that they're erasable. So, like I said, since these are my current favorites, I do have a couple other types that I have used in the past, and I thought I would go over them in general and give you kind of what I view as the pros and cons of the pens and tell you why I like these the best. Okay, so let me start with one of the first kinds that I had, which was this kind, and this is the little clicker kind. It doesn't obviously have a cap to it. It's obviously very simple to use. You click on it, you get the ink to come out. It's got the little kind of rubbery plastic thing there that helps erase the ink right there. It's pretty simple. It does come in a smaller point than does this kind. I believe this one is 0.5, and I don't remember off the top of my head if this one goes smaller, but it is smaller than these. So if you like a finer point, this would be a good option for you. And if you don't mind the clicker, if that's your preference, this is a good one. I personally don't happen to like these kind of pens in general. It has absolutely nothing to do with it being a Frixion. I am not a fan of these. I prefer my pens to be capped because I'm always concerned that I'm going to, because I get in a rush sometimes, and I drop pens in my purse when I'm in a hurry rather than putting them in the pen pouch right away. And I'm always concerned if it's this kind of pen and I drop it in there that something will hit it or jar it and cause the ink to become exposed and then cause it to write all over my purse. So I'm not a huge fan of just clicker pens in general because of that. So my preferred pen is a capped pen, which is why I got some of these. This is another version of a Frixion pen. It does come in a finer tip than, again, does these. This is another 0.5. I think this one also comes in a 0.38 if memory serves, or a 0.4. So I think it goes smaller than this. It is postable. You can take the cap off and post it on here. So that's great. I like that. I like to be able to put my pen cap on top when I'm writing. The downside to this pen for me is that when I do that, it covers up the part that erases the ink when I make a mistake. So that to me is kind of a bummer. It takes a little bit more time to take that off. But if you are someone who either doesn't mind doing that or, of course, doesn't post your cap when you write, then this is a great pen for you because it does write really well and in a finer, like I said, finer point than does these, okay? But these are my particular favorite right now, and the reason I like them, there's actually a couple of them. The first one being, I just think they're actually prettier to look at, and I know that sounds really silly, but I like the fact that the eraser tip on all of them matches the body. I think it's a nice little pop of color at the top, and you know, who doesn't want your pens to be at least a little bit pretty? So I like that in general. And then of course I like the fact that they are capped. As I said before, that's my favorite. The nice thing about this one is, first of all, clicks on so you know it's really going to stay on there, it's not going to fall off. And then the eraser part is on the top of the pen cap instead of, you know, on the top of the pen body like in this one. So for me, this is a better choice because I do like the cap to stay on my pen. It makes it easier for me to write. I just kind of like the length of the pen when it's capped like that, and I like the fact that the eraser is at the top. So that would be one of the big reasons I really like these. The other one is I just personally think the ink flows a little bit better on these. It's probably because it's a slightly bigger pen. It's 0.7. But I happen to like the way it feels when it writes. It's a smoother feel to me, if that makes any sense. And I feel like the ink in this one is a little wetter than the others, and I think that helps it flow a little nicer. So there's the bigger one, and then here is a finer point just so you can compare. The ink still flows nicely on this one, but to me it just doesn't feel quite as smooth as the other one. And I'll hold these up close here in just a second so you can see them. So there you go. As you can see, the purple is slightly bigger, but there's really not that much of a size difference. And I just think that the ink seems to flow easier. Like I said, it's a little bit wetter when it's laid down when you're writing. I did want to mention a couple things just so that you're aware in case you're deciding on whether or not to get these. Some people are concerned by the fact that the way these basically work so that they're erasable is that they are basically temperature sensitive. So instead of this being like a traditional eraser, which you would think would mean that when you erase you get the little shavings that get left behind, that's not how these actually function. They function because when you rub them on here, it's creating friction, and that friction is creating heat, which causes the ink to disappear. Okay? It's actually not gone. It's still there, but the heat in there basically kind of erases it. So what will happen is if you say, let's say I took this piece of paper and I put it in the freezer for a little bit, that ink will reappear because the cold will bring the ink back. But it has to be at least, I think it's about 14 degrees Fahrenheit for that to happen. So on the flip side, if you live someplace where it gets really warm and you leave whatever you wrote on in an area that gets really, really warm, the ink could disappear on its own because it's temperature sensitive. So because I know obviously a lot of people don't live someplace where it's cold like I do, and heat is a concern, and you could leave this in your car, that kind of thing. I looked online to kind of see what temperature that's considered a concern for, and according to some of the reviews and the product specifications, it's supposed to be at about around 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So what I'm picturing is someone like leaving their planner in their car for a while or something like that. That could cause the ink to potentially disappear. So it's not really truly archival ink in that sense. Keep in mind you could stick something like that in the freezer and make it reappear, but you're going to have a couple issues with that. The first being is that from what I've seen with reviews, the ink does come back and you can read it, but it won't come back quite as dark as what it was when you originally put it down. And the second being is if you've made any mistakes and erased those will come back too. So that's something to keep in mind. But from what I'm seeing on the reviews, it looks like the temperature has to be, pretty hot or pretty cold for it really to impact the ink. So I don't have any huge concerns there, and I've never noticed any problems with these. And I've used these kind for well over a year now and not had an issue. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there just so you were aware of kind of the concern with this particular kind of ink. Now, just so you're aware, in case you wanted to purchase some of these, the colors that I have down here in front are going to be these right here on this page. So this is a purplish red, a dark pink, a rose pink, and a cherry blossom pink. And there are those colors right there, in case you're curious. And then for these, I have those right here. I have the black, 4 different shades of blue, a couple shades of green, and a couple shades of purple. I think I have about 15 if I remember right. And these are all colors that I use in different ways for color coding. Like I said, I use these in my planner, and I use them at work to take notes. I have a little notebook that I carry with me at meetings. It's a grid paper inside. As you might have guessed, it's my preferred type of paper. And I just make a little legend about the different kinds of meetings that I'm at. That's how I use it at work. I will do an updated planner video later on so you can see how I'm using it in my new planner. But that's going to be in a week or two because I want to kind of have some time to use the planner and see how I like it. So that is what I have to tell you guys about Frixion pens. I do want to mention that I typically get all of my Frixion pens at Jet Pens. I'm not affiliated with them in any way or getting anything from recommending them. I just really like the company and their customer service. They've been really, really responsive in the past to questions I've had, and they've been supportive of giveaways and things like that and donated to those. So I think they're a great company. These again are called Pilot Frixion Color Pencil-like Erasable Gel Ink Pens, 0.7. Those are the prices currently at Jet Pens as of today when I checked. $2.15 is what the individual pen costs, and then you can see the set prices. I don't typically buy sets because I don't like all of the colors in them and I don't want to spend the money for colors I'm not going to use. And I do want to mention these are called color pencil-like, but to me they are not, they don't color like pencils. So if you're looking for something that's reminiscent of a pencil, I would not suggest you get these because these feel very much like an ink pen to me. And there are a lot of other online like blog reviews if you want to check those out. You can do that to kind of get a little bit more information. If you have any questions about any of these, leave it down below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I will also put a link to Jet Pens for the page that has these pens on here in case you're interested in purchasing them. And once again, guys, thanks so much for taking the time to watch the video. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. And I hope you're having a great day wherever you're at. Bye, everybody.